This video from the Texas Public Policy Foundation shows Mitch Little, who was an impeachment attorney for Ken Paxton, so you probably won't be surprised to hear that he totally misrepresents a Supreme Court decision from 1982 against the state of Texas for trying to kick undocumented kids out of state schools.
I just want to read you some of the excerpts from that opinion. Essentially, there's no evidence in the record suggesting that illegal entrants impose any significant burden on the state's economy. Did y'all hear that?
So what Little is missing here is that Justice Brennan wasn't saying there's no evidence that undocumented immigration has a cost. He was saying the evidence presented by the state of Texas in this case didn't back up that argument. So Little either didn't understand how to read Supreme Court documents, or he's misrepresenting Justice Brennan to make some kind of political point. What do you think?
Obviously, we've got a few more illegal aliens than we did in 1982. I think most of us would agree. So how does the state confront this question?
So Little is making these arguments about the costs of undocumented immigrants, but nowhere in this video does he mention any benefits, like the billions of dollars that they pay in taxes to the state, sales taxes, property taxes, and let's not forget federal payroll taxes as well. Many of those dollars undocumented immigrants are legally prohibited from benefiting from, and they can't receive food benefits either. And experts say that getting rid of undocumented immigrants in Texas would mean an 8 to 9% hit to the Texas workforce and could especially hurt industries like agriculture and construction.
You guys are probably aware that Fort Worth ISD was taken over recently. 1/3 of the students reading on grade level, a majority of them speaking Spanish only.
So nowhere in the TEA's documents about their Fort Worth ISD takeover do they ever mention undocumented immigration as a cause. And Little's argument about Spanish-speaking kids, just because a kid only speaks Spanish doesn't mean that they're here illegally. And what else he won't tell you is that Supreme Court case, Plyer versus Doe, even the dissenting justices raised big concerns about what Texas is trying to do. They called it bad public policy. Chief Justice Warren Burger wrote that it was senseless for an enlightened society to deprive any child of an education. And also, whatever costs Texas may have saved by denying that education, those costs would increase substantially with future costs to society if those kids ended up without an education.
This is a substantial impact on our way of life in Texas, and it's the legislature's job in the state of Texas to create an environment that is unfavorable to illegal immigration.
Says who? Because if the state legislature is really concerned about spending and budgets and the economy, then they could look at a report from 2006 on the full cost of undocumented immigration. That report came from a Republican comptroller and found that kicking out all of the state's undocumented immigrants would cost the Texas GDP almost $17 billion, and it would devastate the state's economy, which may be why they haven't done another report since. Look, are there costs? Yes, but there are benefits also, and the state's own report says so. And we should be able to talk about both sides and have an honest debate about it, at least according to the Supreme Court.